Good evening and welcome to Unscripted. And today outside, blue skies, warm temperatures. You could have hit copy on yesterday and just pasted it on today, it felt like. So we're going to bring in our chief meteorologist, Joe Charlevoix, to talk a little bit about, well, can we expect some of the same tomorrow, or is it going to change a little bit this time?
Yeah, I think more of the same tomorrow. Maybe a little more cloud cover up there. But you know what? Here's the thing, Cody.
Yeah.
When we're talking about maybe a little more cloud cover is your main concern, you know, the weather's, there's not too much going on.
No complaints.
Yeah, it is nice. We're in this nice stretch. The only thing I would say, yes, this is great weather. It is perfect. I know things are going to change, but we could use some rain. We're in a pretty lengthy dry stretch, and I really don't see much coming up. So on that note, but we'll take a look at that a little later. Probably look at the tropics too if we have time. It's a little active now out in the Atlantic, more on that, and a look at the rest of the week. I'll have that a little later.
Thank you, Joe. And for our top story tonight, we're continuing our coverage. Michigan lawmakers are down to the wire on finalizing a balanced budget with the deadline looming just hours from now. A few moments ago, Governor Whitmer, Majority Leader Winnie Brinks, and Speaker Matt Hall issued a statement that there is a bipartisan deal to pass a full state budget before a shutdown. Governor Whitmer and legislative leaders announced a tentative budget framework last week. Disputes over road funding, taxes, and spending priorities are still being discussed. We'll bring you any updates tonight on UpNorthLive News at 11. Now, in the past, state budgets have included funding for the Michigan Arts and Culture Council, but this year's proposed budget eliminates the council's funding. Our Allie Baxter explains how this impacts northern Michigan.
It's really what brings communities together, and that's what I think we need to focus on a little bit more.
When it comes to keeping the arts going in Wexford County, it's kind of like stone soup.
You have to start with a pot of boiling water, you put a stone in there and ask somebody to bring the carrots and the potatoes, and then eventually we'll have a stew. So that's the way the arts kind of work here in Cadillac.
12 arts-based organizations across the city come together to represent the Cadillac Arts Council, a group created by the city to support its art programming. Right now, its members are concerned by a proposed state budget that eliminates funding for the state's art council that usually gives out grants for programming.
We don't like that the funding's being cut, obviously, but maybe it's bringing it to everybody's forefront.
Mandy and Marla are part of the Arts Council, but they also wear many hats, teaching pottery classes and music lessons for kids.
But at the end of the day, we have to pay the bills, and that is the real scary part. We need to have Up North Arts. We need to have areas where we can do our arts and have a space. So that is, I think that's what I'm most concerned about.
A lack of funding means compromise for Mandy and Marla. It looks like not being able to buy materials for art classes or pay for music rights to hold a public event.
It's at the bottom of the pile, usually, of importance, and that can be very frustrating, very frustrating.
Mike Filkins, the president of the council, wrote to Representative Ann Boland, the chair of the Michigan House Appropriations Committee, sharing his concerns about the state's decision to eliminate funding. In her response, Representative Boland says, quote, "This particular program is administered by the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, which has repeatedly failed to provide proper oversight or accountability."
It was unfortunate that those two are connected. It was unfortunate that MEC ended up under the MEDC.
As Filkins explains, Wexford County is in a unique position. They're just big enough to have a population that needs support, but that population isn't big enough for funding to have an impact. At least that's how grant readers score it.
The Cadillac Symphony received a grant last year for $1,200. We asked for $15,000. We got $1,200.
We used our 501c3 to get a gaming license, and we hold bingo. 50% of our bingo proceeds go to music scholarships, 25% to live music in the community, and another 25% to youth entrepreneur programs. So it's one of those things that we had to get creative with funding because it's few and far between anymore.
Thanks to our Allie Baxter for that report. Marla and Mandy both say the best thing you can do for your community's art programs right now is to support them, either financially or by volunteering. And with all the budget negotiations going on today, that is our question of the day, which is, if the state or federal governments were to shut down, would you personally be impacted? You can still vote. You can just scan the QR code on your screen. You can vote on our website, UpNorthLive.com, or our Facebook page. We'll take a look at the results later on in the show. Now, keeping things on budget negotiations, while lawmakers in Washington, D.C. are still racing the clock on the budget deadline, our Mark Gillette tells us a bakery in northern Michigan has been doing the same, preparing for a possible government shutdown like they have in the past, one loaf at a time.
If we can find a small way to give back, we want to. And here at Old Mission Bakery, Pearl and Peter Brown give back a lot, and often.
We have zero judgment of anybody that needs a loaf of bread. Please, it's just a loaf of bread.
Yes, and perhaps no. It may be more than just a loaf.
We do this every shutdown.
With every government shutdown, they make sure those going without a paycheck don't go without bread on the table.
The people that we're trying to help, the TSA agents, the Coast Guard, our park rangers, these are the essential workers that are keeping us safe.
It's who they are as people, an example they learned from decades ago, from deep in the Great Depression.
My grandparents lived in Johnson City, Tennessee, and my grandfather taught there at East Tennessee State University.
The university didn't have the money to pay the professors, so
Giving them like doorknobs and hinges, metal that they could melt down, and there was one grocery store in town that would accept those hinges. A cute little mom and pop grocery store that my grandparents shopped at until they died. So it's kind of a, yeah. So they were given, as a family, they were given credit to get food that they just didn't have money for.
that stuck with Pearl. So today, she and Peter are using their cute little mom and pop bakery to make a difference to those in need.
If there's some little thing that we can do, we're more than happy to help.
Federal workers get a free loaf. Military members pay a penny for it because they aren't allowed to accept gifts. It's the Browns' way of pitching in and helping out.
They need something, and the fact that they're here just means, yeah, they're hurting a little bit.
It may just be a loaf of bread.
I just hope they had a great sandwich.
But the message behind it means so much more, any way you slice it.
It means feeling seen. That's really, that's what it means. And the times have been darkest for us, someone's shown up with some small thing and it means a lot. It really does.
Now, if there is a government shutdown, Old Mission Bakery is prepared. They say all you need to do is bring in your federal workforce ID and walk out with your free loaf. Now we're going to track some more details on a vandalism investigation at Camp Grayling. 6 gates destroyed as a week of intensive military training begins. UpNorthLive's Mary Jane Glenn spoke with a base commander on the safety concerns and the criminal investigation at the base.
According to the Camp Grayling Joint Maneuver Training Center's Facebook page, 6 access gates were vandalized last week.
We had multiple gates that were vandalized. They were cut open. They were rammed. They were forced open.
And Lancy says if those gates are down, it can create a dangerous situation.
When we do the Rangers, sometimes we have to block portions off just due to safety, because those projectiles from those weapon systems sometimes don't stop. They ricochet. They go up in the air. And there's a very strict standards that we go by when it comes to, we call them safety distance zones.
The motive behind why the gates were vandalized is unknown.
It was taxpayer dollars that mans, that prepares those gates, put those gates up. And, I feel obligated to, see if we can prevent this in the future, because it is taxpayer dollars at work. And we need to be wise with what we do with that money. And vandalizing isn't the way we do it.
I reached out to the Crawford County Sheriff's Office this morning and was told this is an active investigation and no new information will be released at this time. In Crawford County, Mary Jane Glenn, UpNorthLive News.
Now, anyone with information on the vandalism is asked to contact the Crawford County Sheriff's Office. An update tonight, a trade school expansion project in the Upper Peninsula is on hold after construction costs more than doubled. The Marine Trades Institute in Cedarville started construction on a new building for its Marine Technology School earlier this year. School leaders said the expansion was aimed at meeting the growing demand for skilled graduates in the marine industry. But recently, the Marine Trades Institute Board of Directors announced a decision to pause the project. The committee identified several factors for the decision, most notably the escalating construction costs. Building the 10,000 square foot training facility increased from an estimated $4 million to $8.5 million. As deer season approaches, hunters across Michigan are getting ready to head into the woods. But something else is there waiting for them, and that's ticks. A local wildlife biologist says they're becoming more common and spreading farther north than ever before. Andrea Flores shows us how to stay protected.
Cameron Dole, a wildlife biologist with the Michigan Department of Natural Resources, says tick numbers aren't just high this year, they're spreading.
We're seeing deer ticks further north than we had in different places. And definitely getting more reports that people are seeing them in the fields more frequently than in the past.
These maps from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services appear to show what Dole says. Between 2021 and 2024, several Michigan counties have gone from no tick sampling or potential Lyme disease risk to known risk status. Dole says that shift isn't seasonal, but part of a larger trend.
One thing that affects tick abundance seems to be winter hardship. How hard and cold does winter get, and how long does snow accumulation last?
The black-legged tick, also called the deer tick, can transmit Lyme disease. Dog ticks, which are more common in mid-Michigan, are not linked to Lyme disease, but both thrive in tall grass, fields, and brush, exactly where hunters, hikers, and dogs tend to go.
The best way to prevent ticks is the old tuck your pants into your shoes method with your socks that are high, tuck your shirt into your belt, and then wear long sleeves and wear some sort of a bug repellent.
And if you find one, don't rip it out.
They have a head that attaches, and then the rest of their body is what's exposed. And so we want to take tweezers as close to the skin as possible and slowly pull.
Dole says most bites don't require medical treatment, but communication with your doctor is important if the tick has been attached for more than a day, or if you see the classic bullseye rash.
We just want to make sure we don't get overwhelmed and be conscientious about how we're mitigating any tick problems.
Andrea Flores reporting. Whether you're heading into the woods for deer season or just taking your dog for a walk, experts say it's all about prevention, quick checks, and not letting ticks take the spotlight off your outdoor adventures. And that will take us to our first break of the show. When we get back, we'll check in with Chief Meteorologist Joe Charlevoix about the rest of your week's forecast. So stay with us.
I'm Jada Johnson from Big Boys TV, and the Fish and Game Report is sponsored by Johnson's Propane.
Welcome back to Unscripted. Our forecast recently has had a similar story. It's been pretty dry and warmer, and as we bring in our chief meteorologist, Joe Charlevoix, to talk a little bit more about this. Earlier, you were saying that may not change, especially the dry part, at least for us, for a little bit.
Yeah, it's going to stay dry for, well, the rest of this week, probably next weekend too.
Yeah.
And even next week, you know, it looks like maybe Monday we might have a front coming in, which will cool things down a little bit. But even then, not a whole lot of rain.
Yeah.
Along that boundary. Let's start off, though. We don't have a lot going on here, so let's take a look at the tropics, which are a bit more active. And we have two systems, and you can see them there right now. We have two Category 1 hurricanes. There they are. You can see both of them off the East Coast. One offshore Florida, well offshore, north of the Bahamas. The other one off of the Carolinas, quite a distance. We'll start with the northern one. This is Humberto. Category 1 hurricane, maximum winds right now at 80 miles per hour. This is 295 miles west-northwest of Bermuda, which is out in the Atlantic Ocean. And this is moving to the north at 17 miles per hour. This is not going to have much impact. That's what it's going to do. It's going to quickly weaken as it moves into some colder water well north of Bermuda. If you're wondering where Bermuda is, if you take the L there, go south of that little black area, you can see it, that little cluster of islands there. Then let's head off to the other one. This is Imelda, also Category 1 hurricane. Maximum winds right now at 85 miles per hour. This is way west-southwest of Bermuda. This is not going to impact the U.S. mainland, that is. But take a look here. There's the track this will take. And if you look, it's kind of hard to see, but late Wednesday into Thursday, this may take a track right over Bermuda as a Category 2 hurricane with perhaps up to 100-mile-per-hour winds. So this could impact that region out in the Atlantic before weakening off to the north. Let's take a look at our rain totals. September is done in about 5 hours. We're not going to get any more rain for the month. So here are the final numbers. That 0.75 inches at Alpena is their fourth driest September, dating back to 1917. They came in 2 inches below normal. Traverse City, almost 2 inches departure from normal, only 1.33 inches roughly there for rainfall for the month. Houghton Lake picked up about 1.5 inches, running about 1 inch behind. And Sault Ste. Marie did fare better, almost 3.5 inches there, but that's still a little bit below normal, so it's been a pretty dry month. It is warm, no surprise. There's a look around the heart of the country. Warm weather. Where's the cold stuff? Well, guess what? We have a map to show you that. There's Alaska tonight. Look at the temperatures, 30s. So there is some cold air up north, but we're not going to see that anytime soon here. And our forecast, increasing clouds, dry weather tomorrow, but there's going to be a little more cloud cover. Those wispy cirrus clouds, kind of thickened spots. And then that heads out of here. Dry weather Thursday. And then Friday, Stormcast trying to kick off a shower or two. I don't think that's going to happen. And the dry and warm stretch marches on through the weekend. A little cooler tomorrow in a couple spots, but then look at Friday and Saturday. Look at those highs, maybe mid-80s in some spots. Yeah, that was pretty normal about 3 months ago.
Yeah,
but, you know, a warm one coming up, maybe a couple showers there, Cody, on Monday. That's about it.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Joe. We're going to take another quick break. And if you're a Tigers fan, you know they're back in the playoffs, and they played today as the playoffs got started. We're going to talk about that with Sports Director Harrison Beebe and another cool story that you're not going to want to miss. Keep it here. Welcome back to Unscripted, and Tigers fans, welcome back to the playoffs. Playoffs got started today, and of course the Tigers back in it again this season. And to talk a little bit more about that, we're going to bring our sports director, Harrison Beebe. Harrison, the Guardians recently have given the Tigers a lot of headaches, but today Detroit turned that around a little bit.
Yeah, you want to talk about a second season. That's what A.J. Hinch kept preaching. This is a new slate for the Tigers. September was not their favorite month. Having said that, here we are to start the playoffs in September. Usually they start in October. But, yeah, good start. Tigers win it 2-1, and a big reason why is Mr. Tarek Skubal, the reigning Cy Young Award winner, likely going to win another one here this year. A career high for him, a Tiger postseason record, 14 strikeouts. And another fun fact, Cody, that you and I discussed earlier, I think he hit 100 miles an hour with his pitches 11 times, several of them in the 7th inning. So he put up arguably his best stuff of the season, if not his career, in a crucial game that the Tigers needed. Because now this gives them a lot of flexibility. They've got 2 more games to win just 1.
Right.
Yes, you can't have Skubal go in either of those games, but if they can build off any momentum from today where the offense was able to squeak by 2 runs, the series is all in Cleveland the way the wild card works. The higher seed does control the home field, but you can't line it up any better for the Tigers to potentially win this series than to win game 1 like they did and give themselves 2 chances to win 1 more to advance. So that's what we'll follow closely in the next 2 days in game 2 and, if necessary, game 3 of this series.
Yeah, and always nice to have an ace like that who can give you that situation where, you know, you're looking at 2 games, got to win 1.
Definitely. And if we're talking about aces, Cody, yeah, Tarek Skubal's huge for the Tigers, but one of the faces and the aces of the Detroit Lions, I'd say, is Amon-Ra St. Brown. He caught 2 touchdown passes on Sunday against the Cleveland Guardians, but let's show you what he did on Saturday with East Jordan Middle School program.
You're going to hop on a bus and come join me at the Lions facility. When you get here, you're going to be split into teams and get the chance to design your very own custom cleat.
So the challenge was set. Amon-Ra St. Brown would invite the East Jordan Shoe Club to the Lions Performance Center to design a special shoe for one of the best wide receivers in the league to wear in an actual NFL game.
And for this one game of the season, they can design any cleat with any colors and any words that they want on it. And it always benefits a cause, you know, some foundation or charity. And Amon-Ra just started a foundation called the St. Brown Foundation. They thought of our kids in East Jordan that maybe they could help get this thing going, and just unbelievable experience for my students. And now that cleat is going to be sent to a shoe designer in LA, and they're going to turn it into a cleat, and he'll wear it on November 23rd at the My Cause, My Cleat game.
To say this made a big impact on the kids is a bit of an understatement.
He told us that we were going to be seeing Amon-Ra St. Brown, and we were going to be able to design a shoe for him. And everybody just kind of went crazy, and we felt so excited that we were going to be able to see a Lions player.
So with St. Brown over their shoulder, talking with the kids about their entries, each East Jordan student got to take part in a moment they'll remember for the rest of their lives.
The Shoe Club is all about valuing yourself and valuing others, and this was a great example of someone valuing those kids, so they got to live that out firsthand. And also, again, we're all about dreaming big, setting goals, working hard, and giving back. And Amon-Ra just demonstrated that through and through this whole project.
And it made for a pretty buzzworthy return to school on Monday morning.
Everybody was asking a lot of questions of how your weekend, and everybody was asking us if we got signatures, but sadly we didn't, but it was okay. We got his girlfriend's signature. Just the interaction with like actually talking to him, everybody was just really excited.
And Cody, I explained to Lakin, hey, it's not all bad he didn't get a signature. Believe me, the one-on-one interaction and the Q&A with him is more than worth that for the experience.
You'll remember that forever. Cool story. Thank you, Harrison. We're going to take our final break of the show. When we get back, we'll take one last look at our question of the day. We'll be right back.
Salon services are furnished by Epiphany Advanced Academy in East Acme.
Welcome back to Unscripted. Big story today. State and federal lawmakers still finalizing balanced budgets with a deadline looming hours from now. A few moments ago, Governor Whitmer, Majority Leader Winnie Brinks, and Speaker Matt Hall issued a statement that there is a bipartisan deal to pass a full state budget before a shutdown. So we'll have a little bit more on that at 11 tonight. But our question of the day does have to do with that, and it's if the state or federal government did shut down, would you personally be impacted? As of right now, 28% of people said yes, 72% of people said no. There's still time to vote if you want to scan that QR code and vote with us. But if you already did vote, thanks for doing that, and thanks for joining us for Unscripted. Have a great night.